future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
This.
Woo!
Hi!
We're
Welcome
back
to Plus This. I'm Kathy Deach.
And I am Eva Tingley.
And we have a doozy of a show.
Oh,
for you
it has
today.
been a real tough week this week.
Oh.
And we are bringing it to you.
We're diving in.
It's not going to be like super funsies and like fashion and blah.
No, not this
Nope.
time. Not
this week.
I hope all y'all are doing okay.
Yes.
Very excited about the guest who is literally jumping from one appearance to the next. Like, she's been so busy this week, and
Yeah, she's been in
honored
demand, yeah.
that she is taking the time to come on our show. She's been on the UBN network many a time.
Yes.
So we met her in the green room here,
Yeah.
which is so fantastic.
She's a political strategist.
Think tank creator of Parlay.
Yeah.
which is
And a
amazing.
fundraising specialist. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, and she really, really, from a very young age, has been involved in organizing and really helping people with the language of political issues to get them to connect to people and what is the right thing to say in order to get your point across and to really get people to be inspired to act.
Well, or even just to get people to listen, because a lot of
Yes.
people don't even want to listen. So that might be what's happening this week. You might not hear a lot from me and Kathy. We might be doing a lot of listening. No,
Well, we
we're
should
going
say
to.
who it is.
Yeah, we probably
Yeah, we
should.
should probably give away who
Her
it
name is Kenya Parham.
And she's glorious. She also is like fierce and fabulous. And her
Totally.
Instagram, which is XOK Parham.
Right.
We've posted pictures of her. Go and see the gloriousness of her fashion, her like fashionista lifestyle.
Yeah, she's like living her life in politics.
Yeah, and
Just like Kelly
doing it
slaying.
and doing it with like all the glamour in the world.
Speaking of slaying, Project Runway was this week.
Oh yes, yes. I was like, which Slayage?
She's like, what? What's
Slayage?
happening? What's
which
happening?
one? There's so many. Yes, and it's the big deal season where they're having curve models.
I know.
Very exciting.
Which some people were really ragging on them about like not being curve enough, which I'm like, the fact that they even have curve models is a huge step in the right direction.
It definitely is, and I think that obviously the goal is to have everybody represented, but for a bunch of people who have been in an industry with a very narrow lane, let's just say.
Right, that they don't even have like form models for them to work on.
Exactly.
This is a big deal.
It's a really big deal, and I'm sure Tim Gunn was the one who headed it.
Yeah, he was
any
like,
doubt.
this has to happen.
Exactly.
Or I'm out.
Or peace. Gun out.
I don't know. I watched the trailer of it, and it was like very, very dramatic. It was so dramatic. It was like,
well, it always is, because who in God's name works that fast?
no, they're like, who's cheating? It's unbelievable. I can't be a part of this show if there's cheating. Oh, dun, dun, dun. I'm just like, oh my
to know
gosh.
how people are cheating. Like,
I know.
it's
It makes you want to watch.
It makes you want to watch it.
Who's
because-
cheating and how?
Because it's that is so specific, that skill set and what those people have to do.
Yeah.
Like, even the people who just were like from week one and pieced out right away, they're still like some of the most gifted designers ever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like,
I mean, one of the ones that they showed, she was like walked out, and I don't know what the theme was, but it seemed like maybe it was like sailboat theme, because she like opened her arms and like there's like a sail dropped out and opened, and I was like, I don't know what the theme is, but you killed it.
something's unfurling.
Something is happening here.
And we love it. Yeah, so we're like totally excited for that season. And my sister is from Minnesota, and there's a Minnesota local that has a spread in the paper, and she did a really great interview. We're going to share it on this Facebook page. I was sort of like saving it for like after it showed, but
Yeah.
you'll be seeing that soon, if not tomorrow. I think I might have posted it for tomorrow. So,
And we have really big news.
really big news.
guest and friend of our show,
Joy Nash.
They announced it. She's booked the role of Plum Kettle on Dietland, which if you haven't read the book, you need to read the book. It's
a great
amazing.
book.
I mean, it is a hard read for sure, and it like hit home with me so much. Like, there's some like really tough things that happen in there, and Peter and I actually listened to the audiobook first.
Oh,
and
wow.
and I would like get really emotional, and he'd be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, because I was gonna say I read it and I felt like it was a very private thing. Like,
No, I
it's
read-
almost
first-
like a diary.
No,
in a lot of
100%. I mean,
times.
we listened to it, and then I was like, okay, I got to like reread this book, and like bought the hard copy and like reread it. And I mean, it's a really intense book, and I'm really excited to see how and it's being spearheaded by Marty Noxon, who, if you don't know who that is, she did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she has just like killed it. And the author of Dietland, Saray Walker, is also in the writer's room, so she's making sure that they're pretty true to the book. I mean, they are making some changes that we've heard about, but...
And you know, what's exciting is that it's not shrouded in the tropes that happen with fat people, like especially fat women. But you know, like the fact that Mike and Molly and This Is Us, like a healthy criticism, both like, of course they found love in a diet room or in a Overeaters Anonymous room. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course, in a safe space where everyone's allowed to be fat is where that's the only place you can find love. So there is this like there is sort of like a way to be fat on TV. Yeah. And this script that we have actually read, it's really not that at all.
No, I mean, I'm hoping that the first season stays with the entire book, and then after that they kind of explore where she could go. Hopefully they'll get
because the end of the book, like, you really could go anywhere.
I mean, no, I'm really looking forward to it, because really what they're doing is they're tackling the beauty industry, which is something that no one has ever done, and it's really a feminist book.
Yeah.
And like tackles the beauty industry and saying like, shame on you for doing these things to women.
Yeah.
For making women so crazy and psychotic and having the views of unrealistic attainability.
And making it something that you sell to people.
Right.
And there are consequences to that.
Do you remember there's a part in the book where they like literally listed every color of lipstick?
Yeah.
Okay, that was like the longest part in the audiobook, because she has to read it.
Yeah.
And so it was like literally like 3 minutes of every color lipstick.
Yeah,
name.
and the names of them.
Oh, they were just horrible.
And
accurate.
And accurate, because I laughed out loud several times.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I mean, and it's really, really... It's really powerful, and I'm really excited to see how they do it. And I'm so excited for Joy, because she's
I know.
so lovely.
Because here's the thing, guys. Joy like took a chance on us when we were nobodies. She's a really good friend of Eva's.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of nice about being a plus size actress in LA. There is a small group of you. It's not like it's like a ton of us. Pun intended. So we all, you see each other at the same like auditions at a certain level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we've all been really privileged to sort of break beyond those "can I help you, sir?" like parts. We've kind of got some.
Or like this. Can I help you, sir? Because really,
Licking
that's
my
what it
fingers,
comes down to.
donut,
I had just chicken. That's all I eat.
So it's a small group of us who are sort of like hanging in there and like haven't given up. And Joy was really generous and came on our show, and we've been wanting to have her back.
Yes,
because she's on Twin Peaks.
She was on Twin Peaks, and she had a pretty like powerful part that everyone's talking about.
Oh, yes.
And she's been remember she came on, she was like, I can't talk about it.
Yeah, so she's like, maybe we should wait till September when I can talk
but now
about
we might not be able to
and
have
now
her.
We gotta like try to get her on before she leaves for New York, because it's shooting in New York.
I know, of course it is.
I know.
But we're just so thrilled for her, and we're just so happy for you,
congrats, Joy.
Yes.
We're so happy for you. And
we're so glad that it's a plus size person, a plus size role, and an actual plus size person got it. Like, Thank you. Thank you, Marty Noxon, and all the people.
Yes.
Casting director.
Yeah.
Rich Delia was amazing too.
Yeah. I feel like they're doing due diligence, which is great.
Yeah.
So I have somewhere to be tonight, and
Oh,
Eva and
I know.
Peter
I'm joining. Tell us. Do tell us where we're going.
So I have a really amazing creative group of friends, and everyone's making stuff constantly in LA. If you're smart.
you have to. You have to be.
If you're
making
smart,
it.
if you're even remotely in the game, you have to be.
You
making
have to be
stuff.
a content creator.
Yeah, so I'm lucky to have a group of friends who does that, and they asked me to be this part in their web series, and it's hilarious. What is the best thing about it is that it's about a real life person who is an actor who has this gorgeous big dog.
A mastiff, right? He's so
Yes,
handsome.
and he's gorgeous.
We have a picture of you.
His name is Giovanni.
Are we seeing the picture of you? There we are. We see the picture of you with the big mastiff dog.
Giovanni is in high demand. He's been on Fresh Off the Boat on the regular and on other things too. But he
I mean, he looks like the dog from The Sandlot, is what I told you. I'm like, remember that movie, The Sandlot? And there was like that big dog that everyone's afraid of.
But
it looks exactly like that dog.
Literally the exact opposite of afraid. Like, he is the silliest, goofiest, just floppiest dog. And he gets work, and his owner is not
a working
hot.
actor. His dog is more of a working actor than he is.
So it's this struggle to be noticed while you have this dog who's a star.
And what is it called?
It's called Doggone It. And it's on YouTube right now.
I love it. It's like, doggone it.
Exactly.
My dog's working more than me.
At Doggone It TV.
Amazing.
I'm pretty sure that's the handle you can use to search
and
for
we're
it.
going to the premiere.
And we're going to the premiere party, and hopefully we'll roll up just as my episode is
playing.
But you guys have to wait. They're going to release them week by week.
Right.
But Leslie
Like a
Jordan's
real show.
in it. I mean, it's really
amazing.
funny. Yeah, my friend Jason Bogue is in it. There's a lot of really great people involved. So
how fun.
Yeah. So it should be good, and I think we might get some dog biscuits. So maybe your dogs will be nice to me if I bring them over to them.
I will tell you that my dogs are a little bit snobby when it comes to treats. They don't like all the treats, especially the little one. If he doesn't like it, he will just ignore it. But if he likes it, he'll take it and bury it so that it gets dirty and gross, and then he'll eat it because he's disgusting because he's a dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
This dog also always thinks I'm attacking Eva.
No, that's the other dog, Stella. Yeah, she's very protective of me.
Always thinks that even when I'm like, hey, and it looks like everything's going to be fine.
She's like,
all of a sudden,
she's like, hi. She's like, hi.
She is. She's a little protective. And I'm like,
very protective.
I can't go humping Eva's leg, I guess.
I know. Stop
those days
it,
are
Kathy.
over.
That is enough.
Can't hump the
I
leg.
mean, really, you got to stop it. It makes her very uncomfortable.
Yes. So look for that on Instagram, guys, because we'll totally be posting at that party. It should be fun. Let's talk a little bit about what we're getting into and kind of what we.
Wait, before we can't talk about it, can we talk about Melissa Massey?
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, your dress is so gorgeous.
Thanks.
Your skin is, it's just your skin is glowing.
I was not expecting this.
No, but it's true. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, and we're not going to really get a chance to talk about it.
Right, because we want to talk about
because we're getting very serious today.
Yeah.
And just before we get serious, I want to just tell you how beautiful you look.
Thank
I love that
you.
on your skin. I feel like
Thanks.
maroon should be something that you wear on the reg.
Did you say wear on the rag?
No, not on the rag.
Wait a minute.
On the rag.
Sorry, everyone.
On the rag.
Tell me.
First of all,
on Facebook.
I wish you guys could see.
Tell me on Facebook whether or
No,
not
I
you
did
thought
not
you said
say
on
rag. First of all, you guys can't see, but Jarvis is about dying over here. He sank into his chair, all dramatic laughing. I did not say on the rag. I
really
said
on the
you
rag.
should wear it on the reg. Reg.
I was kind of am I?
I saw your face go how would you know?
Rag?
How would you know?
I check in with myself.
You really
should I? Because of the red tents I should be wearing. I should be
No, on the regular, it's very good coloring for your skin.
I love wearing a lip color this color. It's my favorite. And I don't, because it's LA and it's it's always summer here.
It's always summer. You can't wear a fall color.
You always want to wear light things and bright things.
Yeah.
And especially in New York when really my wardrobe was very black all the time.
I mean, what I'm wearing. I'm in all black. It's
but
very
I
lacy
will
and beautiful.
Say,
and
though, same. First of all, my favorite thing is that Eva just like, guys, these things are so new for Melissa. Like, she's taking them from the factory and giving them to us.
Yes.
So, like, so you got to run and check out where they are online, because, like, they might not even be released yet. But, so Eva had to go there today, and she's, like, trying to describe it to me.
I know.
I literally was like,
because I'm like, it's like black and white lace. And she's like,
what you're
that doesn't, and I'm
about.
like, but you know, like, the underneath is, like, black, and then, like, the lace is, like, white. And she's like, I don't know.
I'm looking at it, and it's absolutely
It's so
elegant and beautiful, but it also, and we'll take pictures of us standing up.
Yes,
it is so elegant, and like the shape of it is so beautiful. Like, and it can be casual, or you put a fierce.
I mean,
on.
I will tell you that I feel like this is perfect for this episode because I am in mourning.
It's deep,
truly. So it's like
deep.
a very appropriate dress for today.
It is.
It's not like last week's pop of teal.
No.
Where I was like a hooker on the corner.
You were not like a hooker.
I will tell you that somebody on my Instagram was like, how much?
Oh!
I mean, it was like a friend of mine, but I was like, ha.
I thought that was like supermodel. I loved it.
I was a very, very fierce face.
You were giving lots of face.
I was giving lots of face. Yes.
Yeah. So, this week, obviously, everything that's happened in Charlottesville, and then Barcelona today. There's stuff happening that's happened in Seattle.
And the president.
Yes.
And now they're trying to have a white supremacist rally in
Boston.
Laguna Niguel.
What?
Laguna Beach,
I
Laguna.
didn't hear that.
Yes, and so it's like a local thing for us.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Which we have to. I mean, first of all, we have to try to call and ask them to revoke their permit.
Yeah,
for the right to congregate or whatever
it
is. That's like the first step.
I didn't even know that.
I know. I just found out like literally seconds before we got on the air, and I'm like, it's
Lord,
just
because I heard about Boston.
Yeah,
and here's the thing. Boston obviously has been through a lot as a city with the marathon bombing, and also, they lost people on 9/11. There's a real and they have had, the police department has had their trouble in the past and has really done a lot to reform, and it's considered one of the biggest police forces in the biggest city to turn itself around. That, and Dallas is another one, actually. So there's a part of me that would love to see what it looks like when someone knows how to take those people on. Does that make any sense? Like, there's a part of me that understands. They were like, no, we'll let you do it because of free speech, but we're also going to show you how this is done. You know what I mean? It is a thing. It's like, so if somebody says that they can't, they'll take it to the courts. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then it'll become, so if they don't have the rights, then do Muslim people not have the rights? You know what I mean? Like, it's terrible.
I mean,
it's a terrible thing to unpack. But that doesn't mean that we don't outnumber them. And that means that we have to show up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Peter was like, I'm going to go and blah, blah. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to go? Like, we are going to go.
Yeah.
Like that. You don't get to exclude me because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
I am also going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really is a moral imperative at this point. And it also is so layered, and I have to like claim my own ignorance in a lot of areas, which is why Kenya was like the perfect person to come here and let us know, like, this is my reality. And she said it so perfectly when we had a chat with her yesterday on the phone, and she said, as a black woman in the United States, I have a tinted view. She's like, not tainted, tinted. She's like, but it is a very specific perspective, and a lot of times people don't want to hear what my reality is every day.
Yeah, something that struck me, what she said, was that she said, people on the news are saying, this is not the America I know.
Right.
And she said, but it is the America I know.
Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she has this incredible think tank, Parlay. And we asked her if we could put their sizzle reel on air. So we've heard she's in the building, and now we're going to take it away. So check out Parlay, and then in the hot seat will be Kenya when we come back. I want a parlay t-shirt.
Yeah.
Don't you? I'm totally going to buy one.
Well, first of all, on Kenya's Instagram, she has this really fierce picture of her in this cute one of those parlay.
Yeah. Oh, several. I might have favorited all of them.
I mean, yeah, you may have seen all of our hearts on
We
your...
have to talk to Melissa Massey about getting like the Future's female t-shirt to her too.
Oh, yes.
Like without doubt. We're going to trick
Okay.
you out. Yeah. Excellent. Guys, she's here in the flesh. Kenya Parham. Yay!
I'm here.
Yes.
Thank
Hey,
you so much for
ladies.
being here and joining us.
I am so excited to be here. Listen, y'all got parlay t-shirts and parlay hats and buttons and,
Oh
and
my
wristbands and everything coming. So
Yes,
so
yes.
sweet.
We
You'll
were
be fully
just
parlayed out.
talking about how we're ready to march when people are going to try to come to Laguna. Apparently,
Yeah, we just found
was
out that
just
there's
announced.
going to be a march in Laguna Hills, and
Wait a minute. I did not know we were OC brethren. Listen. Are
No.
you from? Are we
no,
Orange County?
we're not, but we're
driving
going to drive
down.
down there.
Oh, I was like, they're coming to my hood in the 940. Yes, I'm coming. You know, I'm born and raised in Orange County.
I did see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about how, I mean, you, from your one sheet online, like you've started very young doing this.
Yeah, straight out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the fire that got you started?
You know, I'm really fortunate to have been born to the two parents, Davida and Thomas Parham, who are phenomenal people. And I, just came back from MegaFest with TD Jakes, where I gave a TED Talk style presentation where I talked about the story of why I decided to become an entrepreneur and get involved in politics. And I really feel like my upbringing was kind of a civic engagement experiment. We were the one African-American family in a predominantly white community, upper middle class community. And it was really interesting to grow up to learn how to navigate all of those politics, right? Politics of race, politics of socioeconomic status, politics of access and equity, of justice when it comes to the education system. And so I watched my parents, who were deeply ingrained in the community, navigate that. And as a child, you saw things happen, right? The story that I told on MegaFest is that at 6 years old, at first grade, I sang Dixie after the Pledge of Allegiance because my first grade teacher assigned me to sing it. And when my parents found out, their response to that was they wrote a letter. And then that letter, it said, they wrote a letter, of course, several letters, and they had me write a letter, give it to the first grade teacher. And it said, "My name is Kenya. I know who and whose I am. And because of that, I'm not going to lead the class in song today, i.e. Dixie." And I told that story because instead of, marching up to the school being livid and angry, instead of, posting something angry on social media, which didn't exist back then, right? But instead of any of these other actions, they decided to exercise their agency by writing a letter, right, in a form of where the system of power recognized that, right, and say we're going to be demonstrative in who we are, and our daughter is not going to do this. And so watching them navigate through that experience at 6 years old and many others influenced me into realizing that there's this interesting relationship in power dynamics, particularly as people of color, and I just became fascinated with it and wanting to help people navigate all of those systems. And I knew that public service was in my blood. I just didn't know which way I wanted to land, and
Right.
I'm really grateful.
It's amazing you just told that story. One of my best friends in New York, Kevin R. Free, just posted literally almost the same exact story about how he grew up in North Carolina and his teacher wanted him to sing Swanee. And
Yeah.
she came into her house, and when the husband came home, literally was like, "There's a black person in our house." And she said, "Oh, Kevin's not black, that's just makeup." And that's what she said to her husband.
Deep.
I mean, and it is deep. It is like,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And this was, 1980s. This wasn't that
Right.
long ago.
Like, this is what people need to understand. I'm an 80s baby, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is not that long
And this was
ago.
Orange County, California.
Yeah.
New money, you know what I mean?
Right.
And people, and I'm saying these things because people, and I hope to be able to have this conversation with you guys about some of the misperceptions about the climate of, race relations in our country, right? People always seem to think, oh, it's the old guard, right? They just need to die off, right? Well, this was new money. This
Yeah.
was new money in
Yeah.
1980.
And in California,
Yeah.
Right.
where people think it's blue, 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 blue,
Right.
blue.
Well,
Guess what?
Orange County is predominantly
Well-
red. This is the first election where it was actually went blue, right?
Not the first. Irvine was blue for a particular amount of time. They like to redraw boundaries, and so we've been blue and purple. A couple of years ago, when Sharon Quirk Silva won in the 45th Assembly District, that was a very interesting purplish time. They redrew the boundaries and it went back red. So there's been some fluctuation.
Can you take us through a lot of what I have been having my eyes open to in watching this news cycle take care of this are the amazing people explaining exactly what white supremacy is, what white nationalism actually is. And I literally heard someone say, no, white nationalists want a white nation, and they will do whatever it takes to get it, including revolution. That is their goal. And then literally seeing the Vice News clip where that man basically says that with his five guns. Can you walk us through that for people who might not have caught?
Sure, I'm going to try to give the abridged version.
Please do.
White supremacy at its core is an ideology, a belief that because of your whiteness, your skin color, or your prescription to Eurocentric ideology, you are superior. Now, I say white, I threw that last part in about a prescription to Eurocentric ideology because there are many folks, given how we have constructed a race, right, in our perception of race in terms of melanin quotient. There are many folks who intentionally pass, right? Folks that may be, in other ethnic communities but can pass, right? Black folks have had to pass for other reasons too. We can talk about that too. But, so anybody who prescribes to that kind of an ideology and believes that their prescription to whiteness or the fact that they are white or how they identify, right, makes them superior. White nationalism is a belief that it should be a sovereignty of borders to protect said ideology. Where it becomes problematic in the context of the United States of America is that this land was not theirs.
Right.
In the first place.
Yeah.
And so it becomes complicated, right? It's like, all right, so, how do you navigate that? And I think that's where probably part of the issue is, where we are now, is that we really don't know where we've come from. And so we've got a whole bunch of people who have opinions and feel entitled to certain things that maybe the societal, the social structure validates as supreme, okay? But the literal land and history of a country, how a country was even, put together, it drastically contradicts it.
Yeah.
We're at an information deficit. We're at a knowledge deficit. We're at a soul deficit because we've lost touch with the heart and soul of this country and this country's story. And I think we need to become better allies and across all borders, right? And understanding that we can't know how to move forward unless we know where we've been.
For sure. And I said this to you when we talked on the phone. I am embarrassed at how little I know about the time when these statues were erected, because they were not erected right after the Civil War.
I mean, let's have this conversation, right? Let's have this open conversation, right? I grew up with a lot of Jewish friends. I can't imagine going to a school, named Hitler High.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Not even.
You know what I mean?
For
Like,
a second.
why would you? And you know what I mean? Why would that ever be acceptable? So why would somebody think that it wouldn't be psychologically traumatic for a black child to go to a school named Robert E. Lee?
Yeah.
To walk past his statue,
where he's praised. And I will tell you,
You know what I mean? You know what I
that
mean?
my family, it is said, don't know, has not been verified, but it has been said in my family that Robert E. Lee is like a fourth off uncle. And I will tell you that if that is true and he is truly a relative of mine, I am 100% fine with them taking down all the statues and all the things.
Well, his direct
You know what I mean?
lineage,
Like-
his direct
Now-
ancestors came out and said, actually, Robert E. Lee himself said this quote, please remember, please look at your history. He said, I don't think it's right to have statues up. I think we have to move on and heal as a nation. Like, Robert E. Lee said that, and his ancestors are like, we don't want it.
But see the problem is that it was never done on their behalf to begin
Of
with.
course,
You know what
right,
I mean?
right,
And
exactly.
so, like, these are the conversations that we have to have. Like, there's been a subline, dog whistle level conversations that have been happening for this nation's entire history, right? All men are created equal, except, it took 100 years for you to be 3/5 of a person and you're still working on it. You know what I mean? Like, we've never really been 100% honest about having consistency between our rhetoric and its flowery, hope-filled, promise-filled rhetoric, right? And the discipline and the righteousness that it takes to govern a mixed melting pot of people who all have the same hopes and dreams.
And a rigorous honesty.
And a rigorous honesty.
Rigorous honesty.
And a
We have
rigorous
to-
honesty,
You
absolutely.
you have to bring the darkness to the light. I mean, that's a Marianne Williamson staple. I mean, she's brilliant in her combing through the history of, and she is the first person who really opened my eyes to, like, no, there was all kinds of torture. It didn't just end with slavery. Black people have been tortured systematically throughout
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
Here in the United States.
And it continues, right?
Yeah.
And it
Right.
hasn't stopped, and we're not crazy. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Not even
I
at
wanted
all.
to address something because in all of the posting for this show, I got some messages from some people. And somebody was asked me a question on Twitter about the Confederacy, and they claimed it as their history, right? And I'd like to address that for a second. if we can.
Please.
Yes.
And so I won't call this person out by name, but I have heard this response, right? That folks who identify with the Confederacy and claim it as their history, our white brothers and sisters, feel that this is their history to be heralded, and they try to juxtapose it against, wanting to learn the history of other ethnicities in this country and their contributions. There's a couple problems with that argument because, for one, the Confederacy, if we're going to talk about being patriots, right, and nationalists, the Confederate flag was a battle flag, a losing battle flag. Okay, so we have no business as Americans at all heralding any kind of a faction of a flag of folks who attempted to overthrow the Union and lost. Just off GP.
Period.
Okay?
Right.
Just off GP. I'm not talking about race.
Right.
I'm talking about you want to be a patriot, right?
Right.
And I'm the descendant of people who gave their lives and fought for this country before they were even considered whole people. So I am just as much of a patriot, right? And therefore, the Confederacy is just as much my history as it is theirs. And so this is my counter argument. Because of your whiteness, you don't get to proclaim that the Confederacy is your history, because without me, your Confederate flag means nothing.
Exactly.
It means nothing.
Exactly.
So it's just as much my history as it is theirs. And therefore, because it's my history,
And why is it
I
not
don't
our
wanna see it.
shame?
Yeah.
Why is it not our shame? Why
Right.
is it lauded? Why is it, I'm Dukes of Hazzard in a goddamn car with it on
because
there?
of a supremacist ideology. And this is the thing. We have to be courageous to call things what they are. I fully believe because all of this, I was talking with my girl on the way up here, and all of this is really about suppression in the physical world. Okay, I'm gonna get a little philosophical with y'all for a second. Suppression in the physical world, because spiritually, I'm a descendant of people who millions were taken from their homeland. Only 400,000 of the millions landed in America. When they landed in America, they were intentionally split, bred like cattle, stripped of their culture, their language, their food, their family structure. And 240 years later, we are 37.5 million in the country.
It's
So on
miraculous.
a spirit level, no, it's not miraculous. It's God. Okay. On a spirit level, you know what I mean? This is who we're from. So
Right.
all of these
Yeah.
conversations about suppression and oppression and all of this is all about on the physical level. She was absolutely right. When she enlightened me that. And so therefore we have to have, you want to talk about how do we move forward? Like have a soul conversation with some people.
Yeah.
You know, let's move past some of this physicalness.
Yes.
Because your attempts to destroy us didn't work. So
and honestly, when I really sit
Or
with
control.
that,
Or control.
Or control.
We're still thriving.
And
Yeah.
And that's whenever I sit with that reality, when, you know, Ava DuVernay posts, you know, a picture of her, a relative who was a slave buried in the ground, and she said, be the bigger than the biggest dream of your ancestor. I mean, to think
we are our ancestors' wildest dream.
Okay, on that we have to take a
dreams.
quick
We
break.
have to take a quick break,
We're
which is
gonna-
good because I'm like feeling emotional.
a lot of feelings. But we want to come back and definitely talk about Heather Heyer specifically and the defamation of her character.
Yes.
So we'll be right back.
We'll be back with PlusThis.
You know that 67% of American women are size 14 and above.
You mean they look like this?
Yeah, girl.
So then where are we in television and film?
And where are we in fashion magazines and clothing stores?
Yeah.
So we want to help out entertainment and fashion and media.
Catch the F up.
Topics get hot. We want to hear what y'all have to say.
And they will get hot.
Absolutely
I have
true.
a question for you. It's kind of like a dirty little one. So if you had to do a love scene with somebody else famous, who would it be?
Oscar Isaac.
Love how I asked you that and you had an answer like right away.
We sang, we laughed, we cried. We
You
actually
gotta go
didn't
back.
cry.
No, we didn't cry.
We didn't cry.
Everybody should be able to be seen in, I mean, maybe not every single campaign, but let's try to include it in as many campaigns as we can.
Witchy poo, we told
We're
you.
just putting it in the cauldron for
meditate,
you.
We're gonna get the candles.
Yeah.
People are having sex with us. We need to show that we're like part of this society, and being sexual is part of that.
Absolutely.
So tough titty, you're fucking uncomfortable.
Watch a fat girl love herself.
Applause, applause,
But just us,
applause.
just us.
Just us applauding.
Thank you. So good.
Plus this.
Promotional consideration provided by Scrubs Body, a woman-owned business with scrubs so natural they're good for your public parts and your private parts. ScrubsBody.com. Promotional consideration brought to you by Melissa Massey. Custom clothing isn't exclusively for the rich and famous. Melissa Massey is custom-made clothing for everyday wear. A unique combination of custom tailoring and deluxe fabrics that is well made and fit for every size and frame. Made in LA, sold in LA, and online at melissamassey.com.
Welcome back to Plus This with Kenya Parham, who's blessing us with her presence.
Yes.
You know, we want to acknowledge that we know we need to listen a lot. And certainly, if you're listening on iTunes on the podcast, our silence is not without us inside going yes to everything that Kenya is saying. So just know that we realize that we're the ones who have to listen. We're the ones who have to hear the experience that has not been heard or received.
Received.
That's all
Thank
part
you.
of this conversation that we're having.
Thank
And
you.
you know,
And know that reciprocity is absolutely a part of this too. You know what I mean? This absolutely has to be a reciprocal exchange, in order for healing, in order for growth, in order for enlightenment, and in order for progress to happen. So
yeah, and I think as white people we have to say like there is so much I still don't know.
Right. I don't know what I don't know. So
yeah, being open
to learning and being open to growing and connecting with people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Heather Heyer was murdered, and then a degenerate white supremacist basically fat shamed her and said that her death was victory because she was no longer a drain on society with her fatness.
And how she was not contributing to society anyway because she was childless and over 30, and how dare she be in the world. So it was
basically
it was a good service to be done.
Yeah, and the thing that we found interesting is that that thing that is now in the alt-right echo chamber does not have its beginnings in other places where people consider them very progressive. One of the people who, when I read it, I was like, oh my God, Bill Maher has literally said something so close to this. And I found the quote on one quote of his. And by the way, I watch his show because he gives voice to people who don't always have a voice. So
he's a little, our brother's a little inconsistent.
Yeah,
Brother Maher is a little inconsistent.
He is, and brilliant.
But he has always been consistent in fat shaming, though.
Yes.
Always.
And of course, even recently with Trump and Christie or whatever.
And he's got an interesting relationship with how he views black folks.
For sure.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And black women.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'll say that nobody in the media talks about.
No.
Black women, particularly.
Oh, yeah. And particularly, yeah. So he said, this is back talking about they were trying to get a fat tax in Puerto Rico to try to get child obesity down. And
well, it really not to get child obesity down. What they really wanted to do was create a tax because they were in such a deficit that they were like coming up with all these ways that they could try to make up for the deficit. And one of the things that the governor came up with was, I'll tax the fat people who have fat kids and charge them $500, and then if they don't meet a certain goal in a certain time, then we'll charge them $800, and it'll just incrementally go up.
Yeah, it was like a bad idea on all levels.
And I don't think it passed.
No, but Bill Maher did have something to say about it. And he was talking about us in America. Yes, you have your right to cram whatever you like into your pie hole, but then that personal freedom is being abused to the point of an obesity epidemic that taxes the entire healthcare system and threatens the national budget. Doesn't the government have a responsibility to step in and tax you?
So I'm going to say this. To equate... God. So ridiculous. To equate... to make the analogy that he's making right there is almost just like, saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is solely about black folks' relationship with police, right?
Right.
To deduce it to, what you put into your mouth, right? Our bodies, right?
Yeah.
Things that we genetically inherit to start. Right. For one, in addition to the fact that we are chambers and temples of the sum of all of our experiences, right? Throughout life. For whatever they may be, the function or dysfunction of all of our, organs, and you know what I mean. So the sum of who we are as people is so much more complex and complicated than what I choose to put or don't choose to put.
And by the way, the availability of what healthy foods are to you,
and that too,
which is like a whole economic thing,
and that too, the socioeconomic thing as well, or the fact that being a bigger size is an indicator of a lesser value of life,
or that you're less intelligent because you have a bigger size,
right?
Like that. There's no equation that doesn't equate.
Right.
Your brain is your brain, and if you're smart, whatever size you are.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting that this isn't something that is a crazy to the right Nazi thing. This is something that it's very much closer than.
But it is rooted in Eurocentric ideology, which is one of the first things that I dropped when I came on this episode. I said, I equate the two. There are some things that are genetically different. No matter what I do, I will never, you know what I mean? I'm genetically disposed, to have, curves.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is. All the women in my family have curves.
All the Irish people in my family have curves. We all pick potatoes and eat them, and that's what it is.
I mean, in my family, we're all potatoes, just like different size potatoes.
It's beautiful. Love them. Spuds, yes.
Oh my God, I'm getting T-shirts that says Spud.
You're welcome.
Continue reporting. I'm so sorry.
Yes. No. But it's that kind of rhetoric. I do connect to kind of a different, Eurocentric view where things should be uniform, right? Obtuseness is not celebrated, right, unless it's a bustle under your dress.
Right. Very well crafted.
Right.
Or you know what I mean? Like these are, or unless if we're gonna go there, it's only celebrated if it's on women's bodies, if it's in places where we are intentionally air quotes. I'm doing air quotes.
Right,
Everybody
right.
listening on
iTunes.
Air quotes right now. Intentionally sexualizing yourself, right?
Right.
You're entitled to have big breasts, big hips, big butt, but don't you dare have a gut or some arms
Or
to go
thighs.
with that. Or
Or
thighs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or legs. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're only entitled to have it.
Or
in these
face,
particular
neck, whatever,
places
yeah.
in which the society deems
Right.
is socially acceptable only for sexual pleasure, not for your benefit.
Right.
Right. For sexual pleasure of somebody else,
Well,
and
and-
most definitely a man, right? Because if you were to ask a woman,
Right.
where do you want to beef up a woman's body, she'd be like, give it to me all,
Right.
right.
all over,
Right.
right? Because why not?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And this idea that like us taking up space is so threatening to men in general.
oh well, sweetie, we know that, like we done. I mean, these, patriarchy. Patriarchy is a real interesting thing, and it's also something that we're going to have to examine. All of these conversations flow the same, right?
Yeah.
Particularly because when establishing even an explanation for an ideology, that ideology or those thoughts were think tanked in those moments by men.
Right.
They didn't pull white women to think
Sure
to ask
didn't.
how they felt,
Right.
or
Absolutely
thought
not.
about any of these things about the structure. So patriarchy and white supremacy are inextricably linked. And so you have to address them both, right? You can't just say, I'm going to address white supremacy and not deal with the patriarchal tendencies and behaviors and institutionally supported patriarchy of the American system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, leaving us is, we talked about action. We're retweeting things that people can do.
Yes.
Certainly call.
Yes.
Show up when you can. Is there anything that you feel like you're not hearing enough of people suggesting that you would like people to hear?
Just all around, I think that everybody's got to understand that this isn't like I went and volunteered on the weekend, so I did my part type of thing. Like, this is a much deeper commitment that we all have to make, and so here's what it looks like in totality. It looks like, white parents, buy your kids some books with only Black children in them and have them read them. Okay, and talk to them about some of these stories, right? Or so they can recognize that, these stories are the same, or if you're a PTA mom or a room mom and you know that Jamal in your son's class gets unfairly targeted by the teacher because he drums when he sits at his desk, and the teacher thinks that he's annoying, so the teacher's labeled him as special needs, but really Jamal isn't special needs. Jamal drums on the desk because he grew up in a household with 6 people where there was noise always happening. So in order to focus, he drums. So be that PTA mom that speaks up on behalf of your child's. You understand what I'm saying? This is a full 360 commitment that we have to have conversations with your friends, with your neighbors. Be willing to sit and listen and take in things, and be courageous enough to express that when you're receiving that information from folks of color, or folks in the Black community who are willing to sit down with you and talk about it. Be vulnerable enough to say, you know what, can we pause there? Because what you just said made me feel uncomfortable, and I want to speak about why it makes me feel uncomfortable, versus getting defensive, saying that it doesn't matter, countering with all lives matter rhetoric, right?
Or shutting down completely.
Or shutting down completely, right? Be vulnerable in those moments to unpack it, because if you feel uncomfortable, that's something you got to work out in yourself too,
Right.
in order for you to get moved, because that's definitely if any kind of pro-Black rhetoric resonates negatively with you, you are I guarantee you are blocking some kind of entryway or blessing in another area and chamber of your life, right? That you've got to work through.
Right.
So that's just a few list of examples that I think people can
fabulous.
broadly use to understand that this is not just I gave money. Give money, please give money, but you got to do more than that.
For sure.
Right.
So where can people find you on Twitter if they want to continue this conversation?
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at K Parham. That's at K, P as in Peter, ARHAM. Just search me across the internet. You'll find everything on my website. kparham.com has the links to all of my social media
Which
stuff.
is fantastic.
Thank
and
you.
Parlay
awesome.
and
Thank you.
Yes.
do all the
And
things.
thank you all for talking about Parlay, because with this civic engagement think tank, what I am attempting to do is galvanize Black millennials and Black Gen Xers around the country to take stock of the assets that we have within ourselves. I'm not saying that that this system is not worth critiquing, because it absolutely is. But I believe in the power of the people that I am from, and I am of, and I am amongst. And I know that we've got incredible assets to leverage. And I also know that we can do some things better too. And so that's what Parlay is all about. It's taking stock in what we have. It's leveraging our assets for a greater good. And it's being demonstrative and saying, despite what the system tells me, I know that I have value, and I know that I can contribute in these places. And so Parlay isn't as successful alone with just the Black community. And so I really am grateful that folks like you and all kinds of our brothers and sisters across the spectrum have supported us and understand that it's really for all of our benefit.
Well, we believe in you and value you highly.
And we're so grateful for you. I mean, goes by so fast. You'll have to come back. You'll have to come back.
It really does. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
You.
And thank you to your listeners. I look forward to continuing this conversation.
Thank you. Us too. Next week, we have a big guest. We did not get the okay to announce.
I know. We never get the okay. What?
But keep, look in this space. It's a good one. They've been pretty great.
Yeah, we've had really good.
But thank you for hanging in with this tough conversation, guys, and keep it going. We want to hear from you on our Facebook page and on our Twitter as well.
And we love you, and please be safe.
Yes, please be safe, and we'll see you next week at PlusThis. This